Hello everybody, how are you going? Well, welcome to this video where today I want to attempt to make another one of Canada's favourite, famous and sugary treats, this time being the butter tart. I've assembled the ingredients, everything that I can kind of put together based on what I can supplement and gather and just go between recipes, and I think I've got everything. I'm sure some people will go, no, it needs to have raisins or it needs to have almonds or it doesn't need this or it doesn't need that, because there seems to be a lot of arguments around that entire thing. But if it's anything to go off in terms of last time when I made the Nanaimo bars, Canada does know how to assemble the sugary goodness, and so I'm hopeful that I can pull it off and do it justice. So then, according to the recipes that I've looked at, it's definitely split into two parts, being the pastry and the filling. And so out of everything here, like I said, I've got the bits and pieces that I think I need. Some people might disagree, there's only so much I can do, but I just kind of get rid of the bits that I don't really need for now, and it seems like I just combine everything in a food processor and just make the pastry like that, and then it goes in the fridge. I've tried to get kind of my bearings about what's going to be needed, but it's still going to be a learning curve. So first things first, it says I need the cold butter, and it's a very cold butter, and shortening. Now the thing with the shortening is there's kind of words like last time which don't really exist in Australian baking, and I'm no baker, but I've never heard the word shortening before, and I believe it's along the lines of margarine. But I didn't have margarine, and I was trying to use things that I already had, and butter it's going to be. And considering they're called butter tarts, surely using butter makes sense. It's only it's like a half a cup of butter, half a cup of shortening. I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make, but I feel like it's going to be close enough and just enhance the butteriness of the butter tarts, which surely can't be that bad. So there's going to be cold butter and shortening into flour, sugar and salt using a food processor. This piece of gear makes me feel I have all the gear and no idea, but it is what it is. I'm no baker, but this has never really been used for baking, but if it now gets its turn, I can use it, why not? So it's going to need 2 1/4 cups of flour, which is fine, I have the plain flour. It's going to need 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, and then all the butter in the world, and then more water, ice water. Now I don't really know why it's ice water, maybe it's just to enhance it, or maybe to just let it go in the fridge a bit quicker so you're not warming it up to then cool it down. Either way, definitely going to just start off with the 2 1/4 cups of flour. That is a lot of flour. I also don't know, like this is a blade, and I don't know if that's going to work or not. I feel like usually when I've seen this done, I've crumbed it with hands. So I don't know if a blade's going to work, but hey, I'll give it a go, why not? So I need 2 1/4 cups. That will be 1. It feels weird putting it into here, but that's 1. This is also a lot. Anyway, 1, 2 1/4. Nope, a little bit more. That's a bit too much. I'll try and be accurate, so I can't blame the recipe. You can only blame me. Now time for the 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. That just looks ridiculous. Why would you even bother putting that in? That's a tablespoon? Yes, 1 tablespoon. A bit of salt, but again, half a teaspoon of salt. Like, are you kidding me? Half a teaspoon? That's I guess it's not nothing, but I'll try. It just doesn't feel like it's that crazy. Sure. I don't know. Who wants salty stuff? Nah, you want sugary goodness, being the butter tarts. Now we're into the butterness. So the half a cup, honestly, whole cup of butter. They're called butter tarts for a reason. I don't know how many grams that would be in terms of a cup to a grams, because this is measured in grams, which would be convenient. That's all right. I can just chuck it all in, and it's very cold and cut into cubes. Sure, you should tell me to put it in the freezer then, if that's what you really wanted, but very cold. It obviously isn't 50 grams, and I don't think it's going to be 100 grams either. It's probably 200 grams comes to mind. This isn't exactly cut into cubes, but I'm doing my best in terms of trying to measure it as well. And then maybe just, 50 more grams should do quite nicely. Here you go, back into cubes. Come on, it's most of the stick of butter, but like I said, it's because it's half a cup of shortening and half a cup of butter. But shortening just, it said it's like animal fats and stuff when I looked it up. I'm going, how am I meant to get that or margarine? But then if it's margarine, then it's butter. So it's one or the other. Go until it's reduced to pea-sized pieces. This is where I feel like this should be done by hand. I've never seen it done in a food processor. But for everyone's ears, hopefully this isn't too bad. But let's just see. Will this work? Hopefully it doesn't... Okay, Okay, it kind of worked. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not going to have a flour leak, because that would be quite devastating. Keep on going. I just want to stop it for a second and have a look. I mean, I don't know what kind of pea-sized pieces is meant to be like, because I'm thinking round balls, and that's not particularly round balls. However, it's definitely doing a better job than I thought of at mixing it, I guess. The entropy is really working. So, continue. Actually, to be fair, and I was going to say I don't know if it's going to go any more than that, but I'm starting to see the pea-sized pieces. So maybe if I kind of take the knife to it and break it up, it'll kind of fold in on itself. As I feel like now it's just spinning on the bottom. I'll open it up for a second. Let's just see. Is it? Ooh. That's been very effective. I've never seen it before, so I didn't expect it to work. I'll get this last little bit of flour so it's not too Christmassy up the top there. But that has worked very well. I've just never seen it like that. I'll try and kind of fold it in and mix it in so it doesn't get stuck up the top like I said. Oop, I've just moved it, but that's alright. Here we go, look at that. Wow. Well then, I guess some people do know more. Now we're talking. There we go. Beautiful, there we go. That is what we were talking about. Somehow I think we lost weight. I swear I saw, it tells me the grams, and I swear I saw 500, now it's 492 grams. But overall, that certainly seemed to be working quite well. But now it doesn't say take it out. It just says sprinkle the water over the surface and toss with a fork. Huh? So I'm guessing I take it out of that and put it into a bowl. Well, like I was saying, it actually came up really, really nicely, and so hopefully when it comes out of here, it's still actually maintaining that. But if I bring it out, and it didn't say put it in a bowl, but I can only presume you're going to need it into a bowl to sprinkle the water and then work it from there. It says don't overwork. I'm not going to be working it with a blade in the middle. So if I just delicately try and, I mean, I don't know what it's meant to look like in terms of, like I said last time, I'm no baker, and the best it does to describe what it needs to look like is pea-sized, but I think it's alright, like especially when I tried to maneuver it with the knife, it definitely kind of was what I expected it to need to be hand done. Out you all come. I don't want to be wasting any of the mixture, that would be against the rules, but at the same time I don't know if I really want to be eating all of these. Then again, at the same time, everyone was going, there's no way you ate all the Nanaimo bars, and let me just say, I ate all the Nanaimo bars. So now it says 6 tablespoons of iced water, so approximately, enough to bring the dough together. So I guess I'll just get some water and start pouring. Let's just see how this goes. I mean, it definitely, like it's crumbly in terms of the pea-ness. I can see what they mean. Like, I had no reference to go, how is this going to turn into a pea? But now, I see, like, I'm just missing that context, but I think I do need a bit more water. So 1 more for now, maybe, 2 more. I mean, they said 6, so 4 should be okay. Hopefully 4 is not too many. Just enough for it to stay together. And then it goes into 2 rounds, not 2 spheres, not 2 discs, not 2 anything like that, 2 rounds. I've never heard of a shape called a round. To be fair though, it's definitely starting to come together just enough so it stays together. I mean, what do you reckon? Is that, I don't want to handle it too much. I don't want to break the rules. But if I squish that a little bit more, it definitely stays together, you know, like enough. Maybe 1 more. I don't want to overdo it. I just don't want gluggy pastry. That's the main thing. There we go. Like I said, it's just got a nice consistency to it. And I don't have that much experience with it, but there's nothing else I can say besides it just has a nice consistency, kind of as I would definitely expect it to be. So if that's what it's meant to be like, and it's just staying together, as the recipe's saying, there's nothing else I can really do for it. So like I said, 2 separate bundles of joy, if you want to be calling them that, into a round about 1 inch thick. I mean, I'm still just not sure. I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to underdo it if I can, but maybe just 1 more tablespoon of water, just to be sure that it's sticking together as it's meant to. I don't want it to just crumble apart as soon as I try and do anything with it. So 1 more, that should do it. Also, if it's, I don't know, just evaporating as we speak, as it's like, well, it's an Australian Christmas, for goodness sake. It's a Christmas tradition in Canada. It's a Christmas thing, but it's not exactly cold here. Form 2 rounds about 1 inch thick. Like, that must just mean 2 discs. And I don't know why they wouldn't just say 2 discs or 2 hockey pucks, as that feels like at least something that you can reference, but about an inch thick. I don't want it to be too crumbly or anything like that. And there we go, that is one mound of dough right there. And then, come on, give me the rest of it. Out you come. 1, 2, there we go. Every last bit, don't waste the mixture. I am happy with how this is behaving, so to say, and so I guess they were right with the 6 tablespoons of water, I think it was in the end. Yeah, it was 6 in the end. Seems to be just, according to the recipe, exactly what it needs, which you would hope. You'd hope that the recipe knows what it's talking about. It's not like, 6 to 10. It did say until it comes together, but it did give 1 number, which I like. I can appreciate the fact that they're saying, this is what you should do, but also covering themselves. Either way, that is definitely 2 discs about an inch thick, 22 mils thick. I'm not going to get a tape measure out or a ruler, but I'd say that I'm pretty happy with that. So now I just have to chuck them in the fridge for half an hour to cool them down. Alright, well they have been in the fridge for roughly half an hour and they've definitely firmed up, and so I'm liking what I'm seeing in terms of now having to roll them out to then get cut. Now it says 4-inch cutter, but that's also going to be dependent on the size of the muffin tray, and I don't have a big enough tray. So I think it's going to be a little bit smaller than 4-inch, but it'll be fine. Definitely just have to start by rolling them out and aka opening them up to see how well they've done. Like I said, they definitely firmed up. So it's said a lightly floured surface, and so I am going to try to use the sieve for this. Hopefully it doesn't go too crazy. I don't know what a lightly floured surface really means in terms of how much flour is enough, how much flour isn't enough, but at least this way I won't just have massive globs on the outside, because that would be, well, me 101 basically. But I would say for now, is that lightly floured? That's a nice dusting. I'm just trying to get rid of the rest of this, but that is a pretty nice dusting for now. So if I take this guy, the other guy's over there, and I grab the rolling pin and roll it out into what? Like, it doesn't say cut, roll out onto a lightly floured surface. I'm guessing it needs to be 5 mil. That's what I'm going to aim for, but that seems like it's going to end up being quite large. Anyway, we'll see how we go. Now I guess I am expecting to have a few cracks as I work this around. Hopefully that's normal. Like I said, don't have the baking experience to know what's normal and what's not. 5 mil might be a little thick, but I just don't want to make it too thin, especially by the photos that I've seen. They're not stupidly thin, but it's kind of like a biscuit-based thickness is what I'm expecting. Also, considering, like I said, the muffin size cups that I've got are a little bit on the small side of life. They're more like, I don't know, the mini muffin sized, I guess, realistically. So hopefully by making it a little bit maybe thinner than people might like, and I'm sure people have their own opinions about what's best and what's not, but at least by making it a little bit thinner, it's not going to be just gluggy with dough. But I think that's a nice 5 mil. I think I'll start with that, see if it's completely ridiculous, and go from there. Obviously, I've still got the other one. Do I just add the other one and go for it? I mean, why not? Well, then besides the bit that all of a sudden just decided they wanted to stick to the rolling pin right as I thought I was done at the edge here, I am pretty happy with how that has all turned out. So if I then grab the cookie cutter, and it's going to be a bit of an experimentation because I don't know what size is going to fit the mini muffin tins, but if I grab these little fellas, I think, like they say 4-inch, and that's more like 3-inch, 2.5, something like that. It's the size, you know, it's smaller than a cup. It's the same size, look, it's the same size as this half a cup. So that might be good. I guess I'll see how we go. I'll start down here, see if it just wants to fit. I guess I'll have to wait and rebundle it, and I guess I'll have to re-roll it a few times, but that's all right. I've got plenty to cut out, and I definitely don't think I'll be filling the tray, but that's okay as well. So then there we go. What is it? 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 so far using this bad boy, which like I said is about 3 inches across if we want to make a comparison to the apparent 4 that it asks for. But overall, that should be okay once I get this tray over here. I think it'll be all right. I just don't know, do I need to flour it, oil it, butter it? I don't know what I need to be putting on the tray, or is it just going to be okay? Here we go, here's the tray that I'm working with. Like I said, it's definitely a small muffin tray. I think a normal muffin tray is like 3 across. I mean, it depends on the size, but I think it's usually 3 across, and this is 4 by 6. So there's a lot more to go around. Maybe it'll change the cooking time. Maybe it'll be more solid, which apparently isn't traditional. People like them a little bit runny. I'll do my best to adjust the times, maybe if I can see what's going on. But at least having this many does give me plenty of different options to try a different mixture of things. Some with just sultanas or raisins, whatever you want to be calling them. Some with just the walnuts, I believe it was, and some with both, and some with none. To be fair though, I reckon I did actually choose the right size. There's not too much excess there. I do feel like I need a bit of help. Come on, up here. I mean, I'm just going to have to remold you into the cup anyway, but if I can limit the amount of breakage from the beginning, that would be nice. You go into there, like I said, it just immediately breaks. Oh, there we go. That one worked way, way better in terms of actually being able to fit it into the mold. Maybe I've got a bit more technique. I'll see if I can replicate it, but that worked so far, so good. Here you go. Give me this next one over here, Mr. Knife. Come on in. Don't break it, don't break it. Well, then there's the first 11 that I managed to chop out and mush into this entire tray because they are so small. It might have been helpful if they were thin, but then if they were thinner, they just would have crumbled entirely. So I guess I've got more to go, but it should be fine. And I'm reckoning I'm going to just butter or oil or something the other half, just to at least try it in case I just destroy half of these guys. Like I said I was going to do, I've just gone ahead and buttered these bundle. At least I'll know which one's which, and if these are just impossible to get out, I can just try and just skewer and knife and everything these guys out. It's going to be the same kind of shenanigans in trying to fit them all, but I think I won't be able to get this entire tray, but it should go pretty close. I'll try and see how many I can get here. 4, 5, I'm sure if I had some computer software I could do this way better, but in my brain and in my mind, 6 right there. There's probably another 3 in that, but not too many more. There is only one little spot left. It is all buttered, so it is going to throw off the half-half ratio, but this side definitely looks better, or more smooth than the first side. But like I said, there's only one spot left, so even though I have a little bit of dough left, and I guess the recipe wasn't right in terms of how much I needed to be able to fit into this little mini muffin tray. But if I just bring this guy out, if he ever lets go, because I didn't re-flour the surface, there we go. Just like this, final one in. And so now that that is done, I believe it goes back in the fridge, which feels like it just went in the fridge, now it's out of the fridge, and then it's in the fridge. But apparently, it makes the pastry more flaky or cook better. Well then, while that's in the fridge, we can finally move on to phase 2, which feels ridiculous that it's taken me this long just to make the dough and the pastry and put it all in, but I guess it is what it is when you don't particularly know what you're doing. And so now that I've got all these guys, like I said, with options that people can agree or disagree with, it doesn't really matter. I would like to try as many as I could get my hands on. But it definitely seems simple in terms of reading the method is just put everything in, besides the extras. Put everything in, mix it together, melt it and boil it, and then chuck it in those. So considering that it says combine all the ingredients, I went and got the trusty Pyrex, so at least I can try and attempt to pour them in and not to make an entire mess. I'm also just going to melt the butter because it says melt butter, so I can chuck this in the microwave and then put everything else in. Now, the only thing that differs from every recipe that I've seen is the fact that it said corn syrup. Now, corn syrup isn't really a thing in Australia. You can get like, it said like glucose, I don't know, it was like 100% glucose. But if you're going after sugar, you're going after sugar. This bad boy should be okay. It's this thing that came up as, oh, the closest, or you can put this in instead. You could do maple syrup, golden syrup, honey with water, sugar with water. I don't know, there's so many options, but golden syrup came up every single time. So that's what I'm going to be using. That's the closest thing I could realistically get my hands on. Hopefully it doesn't change it too much. I can't imagine that it would do anything bad to it though. It might just change the flavor, but not in a bad way, just in a different way. So then I need 1/2 cup of lightly packed brown sugar. 1/2 cup is this bad boy. So I can get, that is quite disappointing. Is there now rivets in here? I don't know. I don't think so. I think the rivets are still there. Oh well, 1/2 cup it will still be, but 1/2 cup smoothed over. Yeah, that would be about that amount. Then 1/2 cup of golden syrup. That's a lot. Okay then, hopefully the butter is getting there. 1 egg, bam, right here. Vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract coming right up. There we go, that is certainly very, very melted butter. And so in goes the, hopefully a right amount of brown sugar. In can go the, oh my goodness, still can't believe that it's half a cup of this. This is just sugar to the max, but oh well, here you go. See that beautiful pour? Oh, that is a thing. Just the beauty of how things pour like that. That is wonderful. Slow it up so I don't lose it all. Well, there we go, just like that, with a little bit of movie magic. It is now all mixed well, as per the recipe, what it says. But honestly, it's the smell that does me. When you have these many ingredients, not you, but when you have all the other ingredients, sugar, egg, even the salt, I guess, it definitely just comes together with the vanilla extract just to make sense. So I can't wait to pour this in, and I'm glad I've got a spout on it. Well, finally it is time just to be kind of assembling the entire thing between phase 1 and phase 2. We get to bring them together. But funnily enough, the recipe doesn't say it, but I'm definitely going to be preheating the oven. I don't want to be sitting around for 4 hours. What does it say? 425 degrees. Now, at least I can understand that that's not Celsius, and looking it up, it was 220 degrees. That is pretty high. Like, that's kind of as high as ovens realistically go. I don't know of anything that gets cooked higher than 220, but I guess it's fast. It's only 15 minutes. And so 220, hopefully the oven gets there in time before I finish pouring all of these in, all of these in, and all of this in. There we go, just like that. They're looking much, much smaller, which is definitely what I needed. When I pulled those walnuts out of the bag, I went, oh yeah, there is no way they were ever going to be fitting. Well, not multiple at least. It just would have been 1 per tart. But now, with a nice mush of sultanas and a nice flaky walnut spree, they're definitely going to be able to be evenly spread out. I'll put some sultanas in one, some walnuts in others, a mixture of both in some, and then honestly just none in some of the else. Because I've got hopefully enough liquid there. And look, at worst, if I need to be chopping more, I can always chop more. I've got plenty more of where that came from, so if I need to just be making more of a mess, more flakes, more mush, I can do that too. I just don't want to be overdoing it, you know. I've already still got plenty of dough left. I could probably make, I don't know, 3, 4 more minis, maybe 5. It's a little bit left, but you can only fit so many, and you can also only really roll it out so many times. It said don't handle it, don't mush it too much, as then you're just going to lose all your flaky pastry, and that's going to be just solid butter rock. Here we go, here they are, all nice and frosty and pretty darn solid. I just whacked them in the freezer for the last couple of minutes because it said the colder the better, so, and it also said I could, so I might as well have done that. You could definitely see where I started and where I finished. The last ones do look nicer. But I guess if I just start by sprinkling some, how do I want to do this? Walnuts one side, sultanas the other side, couple in here, couple in there, meat in the middle with the neither and the both, I guess. You can go, a bit of this, bit of that. Don't overdo it, so there's actually some butter in there, I guess, as well. It feels weird, I guess, unless I'm completely wrong, but I've never seen it with a lid. And so the fact that it doesn't have a lid, it just feels a little bit weird. And maybe that's because I'm used to kind of like a meat pie or something like that. I guess, like, does a pumpkin pie have a lid? I don't think so. That's more like a cheesecake. Does that make sense? It has no lid, but it also has sides to it, I feel. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it has sides. Either way, spreading these guys out. There we go. I guess I'll make this row the one with none, because I want to use all these nuts, all the last little flakes. There we go. And then in with the sultanas from this end. Boop, 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 boop. Hopefully I didn't chop too many, but that's what I didn't want to do from the start. I definitely did chop too many, but I'll try to use as many as possible. You don't want to be having food waste wherever possible. You know, the extra dough will go in the compost, because why not? If I don't get to enjoy it, at least someone can enjoy it, be it worms, spiders, ants, I don't know, I don't care, it's not up to me. So then we've got sultanas, nothing but butter, we've got the mixture and then the walnuts. I keep thinking they're almonds, but hopefully, I guess if I work across, then I won't have problems with how much mixture I need to be putting in each. Honestly though, I can just see why this is just going to taste ridiculous. It is just so much, just kind of pure sugar, I guess. I mean, yes, you've got egg, and still the salt just blows my mind. Like, why even bother? You've got a tiny bit of salt in there. I guess it just kind of makes it almost like salted caramel. That's basically what I'm pouring in here, is just caramel. either way, that's already walnut, so I'll continue back on over here. I feel like I am gonna run out, sadly. I'd also love for you guys to tell me if I have missed out on something crucial in terms of, you know, I tried to read up, but I tried to make the right decisions in terms of the walnuts and the, what do they say? Not sultanas, raisins. The raisins and the almonds, not the almonds, the walnuts, between the raisins and the this and the that, and even the gooiness of them, it seems like there's a lot of controversy and people wondering what is truly best. But if I've just missed out on some golden secret, please feel free to let me know what I've missed out on. If you just have some family recipe that you'd love to share after all these years, and you go, you know what, choc chips, for instance, that's something that I did see, but I went, I feel like there's enough sugar in this already. But if you go choc chips are the one, I can see how that would be a thing too. So feel free to let me know what I'm missing out on, and I'll just try and imagine what I'm missing out on, because I think after I have all these, I'll be done for a little while. But just like this, here we go, the last one to be done, and like I said, not too much mixture left. That is pretty darn good on the recipes department. Even though the size of the muffin trays is completely wrong, I can definitely afford to be filling a couple of these. Whoa, up a little bit. Whoa, calm down, calm down. You are so close, there's a meniscus on that bad boy. But I can definitely just afford to be filling a couple of these up, try to cover these sultanas up a little bit more so they don't burn or do anything weird and wonky like that. Oh, look at this, it's gonna be the perfect amount of mixture. This is fantastic. I was worried that I was gonna have, well, I was worried I wasn't gonna have enough. That would have been the worst part. But I was also then worried going, oh, what, I'm gonna have to eat the rest of it. I would hate for that to happen. What, licking the bowl? I can't imagine anyone ever wants to lick the bowl for this recipe. But just like that, that should be all she wrote. Look at that, every last drop just going in right about there. And honestly, they look pretty darn good. I'll bring you over to have a look, and of course you can rate it, and of course it hasn't been baked yet, but they look like what I expected them to look like, as good as they were ever gonna look like. There we go, look at that. They are looking pretty darn lovely. From the walnuts over here, double walnuts, then double mixture, mixture only, and then sultanas all down this side. They do look pretty darn nice. And so all of those are all the options I have, like I said. If you have any other things you want to be telling me that could have gone in there, I'd love to hear it. But considering all the mixture is out and the oven is ready, it's time. And so here we go, as long as I don't spill any, which is pretty darn possible, but there we go, as long as I don't spill any, it said bottom tray, so I'll go on the bottom tray. God, that is hot at 220, but just like that, there we go. On for 15 minutes, and cross my fingers, and hope that everything doesn't just burn. Here we go, let me just get that. Oh my goodness, that is toasty and roasty. I mean, chronologically, you guys have seen what has happened to them first before I have, but look at this. That is just molten sugar. I will try not to lose it. Oh my goodness, that is crazy, but ooh, does it smell nice. Oh, look at those walnuts, look at those sultanas. I mean, of course, the bit on top is kind of just, well, become molten, absolutely molten, but the other bits are looking pretty darn nice. Look at this. Of course, like I said, you guys kind of already got to see them, but at the same time, now you get to see them up close. And let me know what you think about these. Obviously, they're the middle ones. That's the ones with nothing in them, and then the sultanas as well. But I reckon the pastry looks pretty good, and I can't wait to try them. But man, do they need to cool down. They are bubbling away. Now, as much as it does say in the recipe to wait until fully cooled, who can ever be able to do that? I mean, just look at them. They're just molten syrup and sugar and everything. I mean, surely you just want to be breaking into that while it's still melted. And so the tray's cooled down enough to be handling it. I mean, I've got the glove, but I don't need it. So I think it's time for the trusty knife to come out and just start with one. But I don't know which one to start with. I don't know if I start with kind of the be-all and end-all in terms of the double whammy, being the walnuts and the sultanas, or do I just start with the absolute basic? I think, well, I should start with seeing if I can actually get these bad boys out. That would be a major question. Ooh, there, oh my goodness, that was perfect. I don't know if it was the tray or the buttering that I did, but that one came out very, very nicely. Now, in terms of consistency, it does look like the top has a nice glazing, but then the other underneath is still a little bit liquid, which apparently is what people like. There was a bit of a poll and 60% of people. So It's not what everyone likes, it's not an overwhelming majority, but apparently the majority does like a bit of a liquid center. Now hopefully I don't burn my mouth. That's the only thing I'm a little bit worried about, and I can understand why they might say wait until completely cooled. But no time like the present in some way. Hopefully I haven't stuffed it up. That's all I can say, because the Nanaimo bars, considering I made them, I was pretty impressed with the Nanaimo bars, and I didn't have all the perfect ingredients. These are a little bit more simple in terms of the layering. The Nanaimo bars were 3 layers. This is 1.5, call it. But realistically, I reckon this is what we're going to be working with. This guy right here, just a butter tart. You know, there's plenty of different things that people say, butter tarts with this, butter tart with that. But if you break it down to what a butter tart should be by name, this is it. Butter and sugar in a tart. So, like I said, hopefully I don't burn my mouth, but... oh. Yeah. Right. It's basically just a caramel little bite-sized caramel. I don't even know. I guess it's a tart. I'm just trying to think of what else it would be. Like, this pastry is super crumbly. And I do think that if someone else made it, it would be a little bit moister. I don't know if I cooked it too long. That it's super crumbly in a good way, but it's also a little bit dry. But then at least with the caramel and everything else in there, the middle isn't too solid. It probably could be a little bit more runny, but it's not too solid, and it does then take the edge off the dry pastry. But it's still good. It's still pretty darn good. But now I'm interested to see what do the flavors come out when I look at the others. So I feel like I'll have to start with the sultanas. I feel like that's the main one that I saw, was the raisins. I mean, the nuts were there too, but the raisins were number 1. So I can, oh yes, look, I got them out. Perfect. I was so worried, and I guess the butter ones we'll see, because I don't know if that last one was buttered. Either way, what is this guy going to be like? Am I going to be able to tell that there's raisins in here, or is it just going to be overpowering, or is it just going to crumble apart? Oh. Oh, I do like that more. And for that reason, I'm glad that I had just the butter tart first. Because that wasn't bad. Like I said, it was just caramel. But it's amazing how the sultanas have just kind of embedded themselves throughout all the flavors of that. Like I said, I was worried or wondering what we were actually going to be tasting. But the sultanas have actually kind of just made their presence known in all the caramel. I mean, once again, the pastry is pretty dry, but that's alright. I can get over that. So I guess onto the nuts then. Oh, onto the only nuts, and then I'll finish off with one with the lot. Again, as you can see, they are pretty darn little. I mean, I don't have the smallest hands in the world, but I don't have the biggest hands in the world. And so, considering they're, what, 4 to a palm, they're pretty darn little. But that's alright. They're perfect for this, because I get to try so many without feeling like I've eaten the whole world. But that also, to be fair, looks pretty darn good. And at least they're also cooling down a little bit. So do I think I'm going to like this one more than the other one? I don't know. I feel like if this was super salted or something, maybe. But let's see. Interesting. The walnuts are almost soft in it. I guess they've kind of been boiled in the caramelized nature of cooking the sugar. But I said in my mind that, I was wondering if the texture of this was going to be completely different because it's going to be super crunchy, but it wasn't. They kind of not melted, but they were no harder than the sultanas were. That was surprising. This one's pretty packed with walnuts compared to some of these. I mean, you could see them all floating on the top there. But that was surprising. I thought I would, based off the progression, I thought I would like the sultanas more than this. But they're just different. I think they're equal. I think they're equal second. So, well, they're equal first, but I feel like together they're going to be an equal second because together they're going to make more than what they are singularity. And so for the final one, I guess I'll just choose. Ooh, here we go. Come on. Out you get. Don't make my life more difficult than it needs to be. Ooh, there we go. Let go. Oh, it's just one side. There we go. Finally, it managed to let go. So this is the traditional raisin, sultana, whatever you want to be calling it, and walnut mini little butter tart. I think they're perfect sized. Maybe people want to try them. Maybe people haven't tried them this small, but I reckon they're pretty darn good. And I can understand how if someone wanted to be making a massive one more along the lines of this big, you know, this versus this, it's a bit of a different comparison, but that would be like a full pie. You could just serve that as a full dessert with ice cream. Oh, with ice cream, these would be pretty darn good, wouldn't they? I guess I could do that. But no, it'll be fine. But doing one this big, serving that to someone, it'd be expensive if you were to buy it. But to make it, that'd be pretty darn nice as well. Either way, the final guy with the walnut sultanas, I seriously hope, or I seriously doubt that he would let me down, but I hope that the flavors don't become kind of just mixed into nothing. I would doubt that, but I gotta give it to Canada. Between the Nanaimo bars and these, I mean, these, even though they took me forever to make, they are very, very simple. The Nanaimo bars are a little bit more involved, I feel, between the double boiler that I had to look up, and there's more ingredients and more stuff. I reckon as good as these are, the Nanaimo bars do beat them, sadly, and, you know, come at me if people are disagreeing with that. But if you rate them as a ease and kind of simplicity and kind of just, you know, you don't have to chop them up. You just pick them out of the pan, they come straight out, according to this pan, and just like that, you get to just have a bite. And so for that, these might be the winner in that regard. But the Nanaimo bars, something about them, just the creaminess of them and the custard, oh, they were pretty darn good. I had to eat the whole lot. Regardless though, it is about this guy right here. And so considering that I made these and I'm no baker, I'm pretty darn happy with it. But let's just see, can I pull it off? The raisin, sultana, walnut, butter tart. Yeah. Yeah. I can see why people want chocolate chips in them. But you don't need it. Like, they're already sugary enough. And something about the sultanas and the walnuts, that kind of tasted like chocolate chip. I don't know if it's the pastry or the sugar that's kind of tricking my brain, but if someone said that there was a chocolate chip butter tart, I reckon I would believe them. I reckon it's just in the texture of it all, which is crazy. And I wonder if I did have chocolate chips or if I did make these with chocolate chips, how different it would have been. But man, they've surprised me. I knew that they would be simple in what they're trying to accomplish, but I didn't expect them to taste like that. Not in a good or a bad way, but I thought maybe they'd just be different. I don't know. My expectations are now blown apart, so I don't know what I thought, but they're good. But they're not what I expected. And maybe that's because they're drier, or maybe that's because the ingredients are slightly different, or maybe I just stuffed up the recipe. But if that's me stuffing up the recipe and they taste that good, once again, like I said, Canada certainly knows how to make a sugary treat. And so I can see why, as just an easy, pump-outable Christmas treat, these would be a winner. Like I said, if you're doing ice cream, if you're doing cream, anything like that, that again would just help take the edge off the dryness of the pastry. Maybe some more butter as well. But overall, Canada, they know how to make a sugary treat. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, that's up to you. And whether I made these properly or incorrectly, they're too small, too big, that's up to you as well. But what's up to me is how good these taste and how happy I am with how these came out. And what can I say besides, well done, Canada, well done. What else do you have in store for me? We might not even be sugary, but so far, you're 2 from 2 from sugary treats.